We have more now on our top story, the alleged plot to derail a via train traveling between Toronto and New York. The RCMP says the two suspects were backed by Al-Qaeda elements in Iran. Government officials in Tehran call that ridiculous. For some analysis on that, now we turn to a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's South Asia Center. Joining me from Washington, Barbara Slavin. I appreciate your time on this today. Ms. Slavin, how surprised are you that the two accused in this plot allegedly received support from Al-Qaeda elements in Iran?
Well, on the face of it, it seems a little strange. There are some Al-Qaeda elements that may be in parts of Iran, particularly along the border with Pakistan. There's an area there that's relatively ungoverned, and there have been some tangential ties in the past. But Al-Qaeda is Sunni fundamentalist, and Iran is a Shiite country, so it is not exactly a marriage made in heaven. If anything, as I said, it's very, very tangential, and I would want to see the evidence.
Well, how much of a presence has Al-Qaeda had in Iran in recent times, from what we know?
A very minimal presence. There have been some reports the U.S. Treasury Department has designated at least one individual in Iran who was functioning as a conduit for funds coming primarily from Arab countries across the Persian Gulf and moving into Pakistan, perhaps Afghanistan. So it's quite tangential. There is no alliance per se. In fact, the relationship has been quite strained. If I can quote to you from a report that came out last year from something called the Combating Terrorism Center. This is at West Point in the United States, and this is how they describe the relationship. It is not one of alliance, but of indirect and unpleasant negotiations over the release of detained jihadis and their families, including members of bin Laden's family. Back after 9/11, there were some members of the bin Laden family and other members of Al-Qaeda who escaped into Iran from Afghanistan. Many of them were turned over by the Iranian government, deported to their home countries. Some were kept as kind of detainees. They were under what we called hotel arrest. And Iran has used these people as bargaining chips and also as insurance to prevent Al-Qaeda attacks on Iran.
Just lends to the mystery, then, of that connection. Also, officials are saying the suspects received what they're calling direction and guidance from Al-Qaeda, not elaborating on exactly what that means. From your understanding, what could it be?
Well, there could have been some communications, perhaps, with Al-Qaeda people. There could have been some financing, perhaps. Again, we'll really need to see the evidence, but there is no indication of any Iranian government involvement in this plot, and I really want to stress that.
And we're hearing from them today, and certainly we know Canada has poor relations with Iran, no secret there. Any chance the Iranian officials would have had any knowledge or connection, well, of course denying that, to this plot, even any knowledge of it?
It seems pretty unlikely that they would have known about it. You know, we can't obviously rule it out. It is possible that they intercepted some communications, but there is no indication that they had foreknowledge of any plot against the United States or Canada.
Certainly many Canadians are saying, why us? And when we heard the words Al-Qaeda yesterday from the mouths of the RCMP, it really struck a lot of people as pretty shocking, not the kind of thing we've heard in this country before. Why do you think that Canada might have been targeted in this plot?
Again, this is very early days. You know, this was pure speculation. But, of course, the train was en route, or was supposed to be en route to the United States. So I would assume that the target would be more the U.S. However, Canada has fought with the United States in Afghanistan against the Taliban, against Al-Qaeda. Canada has been a very strong ally of the United States. So I suppose that Canada is not immune to this sort of thing.
More questions than answers, that's for sure right now. I appreciate your expert insights into this. That's Barbara Slavin, Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council's South Asia Center. Thank you.
My pleasure.